Hello everybody, it's your boy Ann here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. So in today's video, it's going to be a build for the telekinetic powerhouse Nell. So breach tracking with Nell is fairly easy. So let me show you what you're going to want to run. And just a fair bit of a warning, this build massively changes and benefits from an Ancestor mod, so make sure to watch that segment of this video. Right, let's actually get started. So with Nell's first thing, it's going to be the maneuvering module. So maneuvering module is going to be the first thing that you want to take care of. Nice, Magister. Next up, the red mod. It's going to be Shattered Heart. This is going to allow Nell to just, work with crit and do tons and tons of damage. Now, if we look at Nell's abilities, you'll see all of them scale off some pretty big boy cooldown. So we're going to want to max out cooldown with Nell right off the bat. So we're going to be going with MP conversion, nimble fingers, focus on non-attribute, and then also focus on. You have the option of focus on fusion. Where's fusion? Focus on fusion or focus on tech. In this instance, I'm still going to focus on fusion just because I believe in fusion for mobbing is slightly better, and Nell's first ability absolutely dogs even with a fusion setup when it comes to tech, so we're going to go with that. Next up, Nell does want to take advantage of all 4 crit mods in this specific instance just to allow her to basically go crazy with all of her damage, so we're going to go with that. Then just to wrap everything up, we want the most range on our abilities, so we're going to go with 2 range mods. All in all, Nell hasn't really changed without an Ancestor mod, so don't worry, the Ancestor mod is going to fix everything. As for the trigger mod, we are just going to go with Power Beyond for that beautiful skill power increase on her. That's pretty simple, and that's essentially what we will go with Nell. So next up, let's have a look at the other parts of this build, starting off with the reactor. But before we do the reactor, let's quickly grab the weapon of our choice, and in this instance, it is going to be the Peacemaker. Now, I know some of you might be like, "Ayo, why not the Secret Garden?" But I just like moving around with the Peacemaker more. If you want the Secret Garden, you can use it, but we'll come back to it later. Next up, you are going to want to go through with the reactor. With the reactor, you want cooldown and you are going to want crit damage as well. So straight up, Nell is going to require both of these, non-attribute fusion or non-attribute tech. If you want to use her 4th ability more with tech, you go with that. If you want to use her mobbing abilities more, you go with fusion. I personally prefer fusion, so that's what I've gone with. Next up, the external components. Now with the external components with Nell, this is something that is going to change quite a bit depending on the Ancestor mod as well. Without an Ancestor mod, I truly want to give the credit to the Hunter set. Now I know some of you might be scratching your head saying, well, I've seen other things say use this, use that. With Nell, ideally skill spam is your DPS, and you're going to need cooldown as an absolute minimum. And using 2 pieces of mage is not really worth it on Nell, especially not when you can use the entire set. Again, Ancestor mod. So ideal stats for this is going to be max HP, MP recovery out of combat, max MP, MP recovery in combat, MP recovery modifier and electric resistance, as well as max shield and toxic resistance or shield recovery modifier. So that's what we will be going with. As well as that, max HP and defense across every single one of your cores for the best survivability is going to be pretty much all you need with Nell. So let's have a look at the arcade tuning tree. With the tuning tree for Nell, again, it's going to be pretty much just what you'd expect for every skill based Descendant. So we're going to go over here, go across to the skill power, go all the way up here, and all the way up here, grab our cooldown, and we're going to grab Fusion Zone for a fusion skill power modifier increase. You can also change this to basically be non-attribute cohesion. There you go. Non-attribute cohesion also works well as final preparations for the boss if you want that. Fusion tech tuning also does work quite nicely with the spamming on the abilities for duration. And honestly, even I'd still slap on Fusion Tech tuning, and that'd still work really well too. So there's a few options with the cell that you want to go with as well. Next up, just to finish it off, we're going to grab a touch more crit damage. So that'll basically cover everything on Nell's arcade tuning tree. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Next up, let's have a look at the weapons and inversions for Nell. So Peacemaker, like I said, is basically just used as a stat stick to run around fast. You can also use the Secret Garden if you'd like, but I personally do prefer the Peacemaker. Now, one sprint core and one grapple core is pretty much all you are going to need, as well as the actual build on here. I've just gone with the defense build, so when you do end up switching your weapons, it does work out nicely. I said switching your weapons because I always do like to bring a shadow as a backup, just in case you end up running out of MP or just for whatever reason. For the shadow, it's a build with attack on there, toxic, consecutive hit chance and damage, and these are your substats as well, basically the same thing. Other than that, this is the build that I would recommend on the shadow, and I always just bring the shadow at this point as a backup weapon just in case. So that's going to be that. For the inversions, I've gone with skill cost as well as blade extension, because I do obviously hold the sword with me, and because I'm not using a hypernova, I do use the basic swordplay enhancement, but you can replace that with health, and you can also replace this with something else like neurostim if you really wanted to. So yeah, for the most part, it is a little bit easier to survive with all of that. So now let's have a look at the Ancestor mod, the thing that kind of changes Nell completely. So the Ancestor mod with Nell is going to have a pretty drastic effect on this build. So in this instance here, I kind of did go down the route of changing Nell in a, how should I say this, more of a drastic way, I think is the right way to say it. So with Nell, I ended up dropping skill insight, of course, because I'm going to, oh sorry, not insight, that's the wrong Ancestor mod. So this is the Ancestor mod I used here. I dropped emergency measures for it, so we are running skill concentration as well as insight and frontlines for this for DPS. And with this, I get non-attribute damage across all my abilities, I get fusion damage across my abilities, and I get cooldown. The cooldown is the most important part, because even with this cooldown, you'll be able to drop one of your focus on modules, so let's say focus on non-attribute, and also slap on MP collector. Now, this is just going to allow you to spam. You could also put health in here if you really want. And then the other big change we're going to make is drop the Mage Hunter set in favor of the Enlightened Mage set. Same comps and substats as before. And that's going to allow you to stay cooldown capped whilst also going absolutely nuts with your damage. With the tree, it depends on how high the value is on your cooldown, because you see here, if I remove it, I'm not going to have cooldown cap anymore, so that's something you definitely want to pay attention to. So yeah, that's pretty much what I would recommend, at least for Nell's Ancestor mod in this specific instance. Now with this as well, if you can roll everything else, so and obviously choose your rolls. Fusion's good for mobbing, non-attribute is good across the board, so I'd say the main things you'd want to grab is crit damage, cooldown, non-attribute with like a harmless negative. But if you have to choose out of 2 stats, definitely crit damage and cooldown is going to be your main thing with Nell. So yeah, next up, let's have a look at some gameplay for Nell. Now for the gameplay, I just ran some Breach Surge, of course, because this is the Breach Surge build. So let's have a look at some of this. Now with Nell, she absolutely pile drives in here, and I don't think anyone is surprised at that. She's already one of the best Descendants in the game. Honestly, I was kind of hoping that her instant cast would make her even more aggressive in terms of everything else, but it kind of didn't, but it is what it is. Now with Nell, the way that you play her is incredibly important, because as you can see here, I'm playing with 6,900 health. Now, the way I play Nell is I use her first ability as a cleanup. So I'll use her second ability first, then I will use her third ability to dish out more damage on the mobs. Then any mob that is left, I will just shoot them with the first ability. I don't ever use the fourth ability unless it's for elites or just finishing the one mob off. But this is essentially how I play Nell. I know it's very fast paced and all of that, and it's kind of a keep up or get left behind type of situation, I guess is the right way to say it. But Nell is an incredibly capable Descendant. It's definitely a situation where you really need to be locked the hell in, because you can see here, there, boom, finish everything off, and then just take advantage of movement and stuff. Like I said, you're pretty much never going to be getting off of the Peacemaker or the Secret Garden for this, and the Shadow is basically only there as a backup weapon, and you most likely won't even need it 90% of the time. So this is where we end up with Nell. Now you can see over here, it's also going absolutely crazy in terms of the DPS. We're hitting enough damage to basically kill, if not almost kill the mobs, and then once they are on their final legs, we'll just clean them up with the first ability, which is a nice way to play her, in my opinion. I haven't really made a video on Nell in quite a while. It's, well, just because the build hasn't changed in a while. I thought I'd go ahead and make this video because Ancestor mods have obviously drastically changed everyone. So it does go ahead and kind of work into the fact that you can see here that, you know, even with that, she does ridiculously good damage, and she's just a very, very capable Descendant in general. And honestly, I hope that they do something about her animations. Not that their animations are incredibly bad, but for some of them, they're incredibly slow, and it just, when you're dealing with really, really fast-paced gameplay, it can definitely break immersion to an extent. So I would love to see Nell's animations get tuned a little bit more, make them a little bit quicker, and make her feel a bit snappier in terms of that, and she'll be, no, she's already a really, really, really strong Descendant. Right, just ignore the yap I'm going on with. But as you can see here, Nell just in general is incredibly capable, cleaning through every phase with no problem. Use my fourth ability there. If it doesn't one-shot the elite, just use your your first ability to play a little bit of cleanup. Primarily, you know, you just keep sticking with the same loop of gameplay, and then you're basically fine. I do love the numbers on the screen. They are incredibly satisfying. So, you know, Nell enjoyers rise, I guess, or something like that. But yeah, this is pretty much everything that you are going to want to be doing with Nell. Now, out of all the options for Breach Surge and stuff, or not Breach Surge, I am tweaking. Out of all the options for breach tracking, Nell I think is definitely one of the strongest ones. In terms of scaling as well, even if you can't do the most DPS with Nell, she's still got the very, very, very strong abilities to allow for crowd control, so on and so forth. So even if you do use Nell in squads, one, hope that you don't crash someone else's console or PC, and two, have fun with it. Because honestly, Nell is a top tier, and I mean, the results speak for themselves. You can see how she's just ripping everything apart here, even elite, so on and so forth. She's just a top tier Descendant, and this is why she's the telekinetic powerhouse that will save season 3 of this game. Jokes aside though, we're almost at the end of the run, and you can see she's doing a great job. In general, I think Nell, Valby, and stuff like that, they've placed so well in here, and a lot of other Descendants are great too. I've been releasing plenty of videos on them anyways, so, you know, you can kind of see that. Now, we're almost pulling up on the final phase, and honestly, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about Nell's Acceive over here. With Nell's Acceive, I have binded her Acceive to my first ability. So, in the settings, you can change it, at least specifically for Nell, so that you, whenever you press your first ability anyways, it will activate the Acceive and lock on for the mobs automatically. God, I'm tired. But this massively helps because it means you don't need to press an extra button for your Receive all the time, because, you know, it'll basically just do everything together and it's already binded in one. I'll quickly show you how to run that inside of your settings once we are done with this gameplay. Bro's not slept no more. I haven't, and I'm absolutely feeling it now. But yeah, with this over here, you can see in general, it's one of them things you have to worry even less about, and she does genuinely work incredibly well, even when you haven't been bothered to go all in. The Acceive is a very important thing, and you definitely want to make sure you are using it. So yeah, the grind doesn't stop. The grind never stops, bro. Even if you're in your sleep, bro, you gotta keep grinding. Listen, next on no, bro. I'm fighting Wall Crasher in my sleep. I've got to get the I've got to get the flipping dimension key somehow. But yeah, bro, I saw Axe Converter gameplay whilst you were asleep yesterday. Shut up. But there you go. A nice 5-minute 45 breach tracking with Nell. Not too bad. Not the greatest. And yeah, you can see Nell is capable in general. I wasn't using the Shadow or the Secret Garden at all in this run, but you know when you'd want to switch them, so on and so forth, and you know, all of that. But anyways guys, that's pretty much been today's video, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. Just before we go real quick though, if you go to your options over here, go to display or mouse and keyboard, then you can literally just set a second bind for your numbers and stuff. Over here it'll show you your binds, and skill 1 is over here with the number 1, and then the Achieve further down is also not the Achieve. Where is it? I can't see it, I'm blind. There you go. Also binded to the number 1, so whenever I press my first ability with Nell, it'll also do my Achieve automatically. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that you are going to need to know. So please do smash that like button, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.